I feel a
But,
multitude of people from like many different backgrounds can relate to that.
yeah,
Mhm.
can you relate to it?
I can.
Yeah, okay.
I definitely
Yeah.
can.
Whatever, I'm trying to think of a way to act.
Raven Artson.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's nice
Hello.
to have you here.
Yeah, nice to be here. Thanks, man. Thanks for having me.
So let's get into brass tacks. How would you describe your sound?
I always say it's like imagining Talking Heads getting into the studio with Frank Ocean. So you would have like a lot of rhythm and a steady groove, and at the same time some very emotional, like heartfelt themes in there. And then I feel like all that will be mixed up with a lot of experiment while always maintaining like a really steady pop uh, sensibility.
Right.
So if in short, I just call it avant pop because I feel it's like pop music, but I just try to like ride on the new wave of it.
And it seems like a very apt description of it. Yeah.
I think yeah.
How would you describe your style of dress? Because I've seen you in a couple editorials and always got your style on point, and I'm just curious.
Thank you. I don't know. I feel like it's like really kaleidoscopic with this thing which you look through and like you see all these different like colors and patterns.
Right, right.
Like I feel with my personal style, it's kind of like looking through that kaleidoscope where every day you can tap into like a different persona based on how you feel. Um, and like the way I dress in like editorials or in videos or on stage is like one on one with what I wear normally. So it's just like I feel like same as with my music, like my personality and my taste just like differs so much from day to day
Mhm.
that I really enjoy just like tapping into that in my personal style too.
What would that persona be today?
Well, that's a good question. I don't know. Yeah, you can decide. Look at it.
It'll
What
be
does it
flipped
look like
around.
to you? Casual, a bit romantic,
Casual.
maybe.
It's
Red,
like casual chic.
casual chic. Yeah, I like
Yeah,
that.
I like it. You can either just be like lounging in your crib, or you could be like walking down the runway. I can see both.
Yeah, that's a perfect mood.
Only to be like I understand.
So, growing up, did you have any role models?
Yeah, just all the big cliche icons, honestly.
Hmm.
So from like Michael Jackson to Madonna to Bowie to
Right.
Mick Jagger, and then later on people like Pharrell and Kanye West. Like
Mhm.
I was just always like really inspired by those, yeah, cultural phenomena.
Right on, right on. Some good names there.
Yeah.
I know you're in Amsterdam right now, but how would you describe the current state of the LA music scene?
Um, well, I just been there for like 1.5 year.
Mhm.
So from my like perspective right now, I feel like what I really like about the city is that, of course, it's like really industry based because it's like, yeah, kind of like the entertainment capital. But because it's like so big and so spread out and there's so many people there, there's a lot of room for like more niche genres to like really bloom and like have their own like big crowd. And to me, that was like really inspiring to feel that like you can still manifest like a career in pop music without having to do like the sellout pop stuff and
Mhm.
actually being able to tap into this more experimental, dangerous or like uncomfortable zone of like music. And that's also where what I'm really interested in.
Right, right.
Yeah. And I feel like LA has a lot of that to me.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I've been there once. It's a hell of a place. Um,
Mm-hmm.
when did you start making music? When did this all
But
begin?
I don't know. I started when I was like really, really young. So I think I was 7 when I started playing drums. And then my parents got me like a drum kit and I started just playing drums with friends of mine in bands. And that eventually evolved into me like recording my own bands. So I got like my own like really small like home studio with just like one microphone and a small interface, and I would record all the demos. And that eventually like developed into me recording different artists and doing like movie soundtracks and that kind of stuff. And then eventually, just like a couple of years ago, I felt like I was there as a person and with my skill set to really start like developing my own sound and my own lyrics and my own voice. So it's been like a really gradual process of like doing music for a long time and learning about all these different facets of music along the way.
Within this journey, have you experienced any struggles along the way?
Yeah, of course. I mean, for me, like, I also like, I have to admit, like, I'm really privileged, like, also coming like from Europe. I think that in itself is really privileged. And then I'm like, of course, like a male too, and I'm white. So I think if I look to like colleague artists, I'm like already like a lot of steps ahead just because of that. But of course, like I've also faced like my personal struggles and difficulties. And I think like as an artist, for me personally, the hardest thing is like self-motivation, because I really learned that like in the end, it's you that always has to like bump up your own ego and tell yourself like, oh man, you're doing a great job, and like just keep pushing and maybe try this or try this and focus on the thing you achieved here. So that's something that I'm like still doing on a daily basis, just like telling myself that I'm doing like a good job. Yeah. So that's, I feel like my biggest personal struggle has just been like motivating myself and also realizing that in the end, I do it for myself and not for like, of course I want to like share my music and my work with other people, but it's really easy to focus on like tiny rejections by other people that in the bigger picture, those parts were not at all why you started making music.
Right.
So I just tried to like eliminate those thoughts from my head, like slowly every day.
Yeah, it is a gradual process. With song titles like Seen by You, Crowded in My Heart, Notice Me, romance seems to be a recurring theme in a lot of your music. How important is romance in your life?
I'd say really important. I think honestly, it's for me what gives like meaning to life. I don't know, it just makes you really feel a lot of things, like very positive and very negative. And I'm just really interested in that emotional palette. So therefore, yeah, romance is really important to me.
Right. Cool. You also, I've seen in a couple of your live performances, and one in particular, you were talking about the concept of duality. And why is that of particular interest to you?
For the same reason why I think like romance is so important and interesting, that like there's like these different signs happening simultaneously. So whenever something makes sense, at the same time it doesn't make sense, and the other way around. And I'm just really interested in this concept of different sides coexisting all the time. I don't know if it makes sense. Maybe it sounds really fake.
No,
but it's also like, yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah.
That sounds really genuine. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. So that's, what I'm interested in. And I also feel that when I'm like internalizing and I'm like reflecting on myself, a lot of times it seems that way, that like I feel these multiple things simultaneously. So I just try to catch like that little ball of like duality and mold it into a musical composition that I think can share.
Yeah, I think you do it very well.
Whatever, I'm trying to think of a way to act. Whatever, I'm not myself, we're too bad, 'cause we keep on trying. We're fine, we're in.
In regards to your most recent single, Whatever is a phrase people would often say flippantly or passively. I'm curious what you meant by it.
Well, actually, like I also meant it in that same way. Because when I wrote the song, like I was in a relationship and it just wasn't really working out. There was just a lot of friction going on.
Right.
And then I just tried to have it make sense in my head, even though it just didn't really feel good. And then one day I was in the studio and this just like poured out of me. And then when I heard it back, it was like as if I was already over it, just saying like, yeah, whatever. Like, I don't even care about what it could be. If I act a certain way, it just like doesn't really add up. So I think we should just like move on.
I feel a multitude of people from like many different backgrounds can relate to that.
Yeah, definitely.
Mhm.
Yeah, can you relate to it?
I can.
Yeah, okay.
I definitely
Yeah.
can.
Given to a friction and a promise to cherish our ambivalence as the sun.
After this EP, what's next for Raven Artson?
Yeah, so there's already like more music in the works. And I'm also trying to like, use this whole period of like quarantine and immobility to just like lock myself up and make a lot of new stuff. So hopefully like early 2021, I'm able to like share another project. And I just played my first lead role in a movie that I composed a soundtrack for.
Wow.
So it's like a short movie, but it was really nice.
Mhm.
And it just premiered at like a Dutch film festival. And now it's going to make like around the different festivals. So I have no idea, like it's kind of out of my control when that will be released, but hopefully that'll be released online soon too.
Right.
Yeah, so I feel those two are like the biggest things in terms of like personal projects that I have
Something to look
coming
forward
up.
to in the new year.
Yeah.
Well, Raven Artson, Lotion Mag, thanks for sitting down with us, man.
Yeah, thanks so much also, for having me. Appreciate it.